Hello, guys, welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. There is a message that I want to share with you guys, and this message reads like this. Hello, my brother, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? My brother, my story, it goes on like this. I grew up in the village, so whilst I was in the village, after I had met this other girl, so I made her to fall pregnant for me. So then her parents started demanding a lot of things from my parents because my parents had several livestock. So they wanted some cows because they said that I had messed up their daughter. They said that their daughter, they wanted her to be in university. But to be honest with you, my brother, when I started sleeping with my first wife, I didn't find her to be a full woman. It showed that she had been sleeping around, and they totally refused that idea. They said that as far as they knew, their daughter was still a virgin. And since I had messed her up, it was up to my parents to repay them. Otherwise, they were going to have me arrested. So, with that thought of me getting arrested, it was really shocking to me, and I was really scared. So, my parents then took some of their livestock, then they repaid for the damages that I had done. And this brought no peace for me at home. Each and every time that I would do a simple mistake, my father, simply because he was my stepfather, I never knew my father, he would always blame me. And I saw that now I was not even bringing peace into my mother's marriage. I then decided that it was far much better that he gives me some money and I would go into the city and try to fend for myself. And the promise was that once I would have gotten a good business, then I'll start sending him money back so as to repay for that cattle that he had lost when he was paying for the damages, so that I won't get arrested. And after my stepdad had given me the money, I just went to Harare, and I didn't even have anyone that I knew there. When I was in Harare, the first thing that I did, I used to sleep in town, even though it was really dangerous. I'll just find a place to sleep, then I'll just pretend as if I was one of the security guards, because in one of the streets where I used to sleep in, there were some security guards that used to look after some shops. So I'll just pretend like I was a security guard until one of the guys said that their company was hiring. And when I went there to receive the training, it was very difficult. I even thought that maybe I was being trained to become a policeman or to become a soldier. The training was really hard, but after I had passed, I then started working as a security guard, but the pay, it was quite low. So I then thought that since at the post where I was working as a security guard, there was an opportunity for me to sleep, because the owners of that house, they didn't care much. All they wanted was to see me coming into the yard, and after that they never checked if I was sleeping or not. So I had secured this other place at the corner of the yard where I would go and hide behind this other bush. And by hiding, I was hiding from the thieves as well as hiding from my boss and those people that I was working as their security guard. So I'll just sleep throughout the night. And after that, when I had gotten my first salary, I then took that money and I went and I started selling at the rank. I started by selling some cream donuts, as well as selling, in our country they call it Freinds. So during the afternoon, I will be working in the taxi rank, just selling and selling. Whilst I was working there at the taxi rank, that was when I met this other man. In those years, that is when people were having a lot of DVD players. For you to watch a movie on your TV, you needed a DVD player, even though some people, they still had some VCRs, but they were getting out of fashion. There was no internet like it is there right now. So that meant that I met at the taxi rank. He then gave me an idea, since he was also into that business, and he said that he knew this other Nigerian man who was working there in Harare. He was printing out those DVD. They used to put the movies on a CD or on a DVD. So he was printing them out a lot, and he wanted people who could resell for him, since he was in the business of just mass printing those movies. So that was a good opportunity for me. I then went and I met that Nigerian man, and after he showed us how we were supposed to sell those DVDs, each and every day he would give us the stock, then we would go around selling and selling at the taxi rank in town. Everyone was just buying those CDs, so we were making a little bit of money. So this man, who was now my friend, the one that I used to walk around with whilst we would be selling our CDs, this man, he had a very beautiful sister of his, and from the day that he had introduced me to his sister, me and his sister, there was a chemical connection that had happened between the both of us, and I was really interested in her, and she was also interested in me, because she had made it known to me that she was interested in me. I could just see by her actions. So I didn't want to disappoint my friend. I then thought that it was a good idea for me to raise enough money so that by the time that my friend will find out that I am now dating his sister, then I'll come and I'll pay the bride price. After that, my brother, that was when he found out that I was now dating his sister. He got really angry, and when he got angry, he then made other plans, and he made sure that his sister started dating that guy who was a Nigerian guy, which was not a fair thing to do, because he did it out of money. The day that he went to collect that money, he even took me on purpose, even though he didn't tell me that this is what he wanted to do. When we went there, he was given loads and loads of money, just like he was selling off his sister to that Nigerian guy. So I was really heartbroken. Since I was now a desperate man, I just wanted to be with any woman who was willing to be with me. I then went into this other area. It is called in Epworth. I was going around whilst I was selling my DVDs. I then saw this other woman, and when I met that woman, she was as beautiful as that other girl that I was dating, who was my friend's sister. I then said that for me to remove this heartache, it is far much better that I start dating this beautiful single woman. She told me that her husband was in prison, and this was really great, because the guy, he was supposed to come out of prison after many, many years. So it was good to me. I then started staying with that lady. Little did I know, my brother, that she had ran away from the villages. She was running away from her own husband, and she is the one who ended up infecting me with HIV, and she didn't even come out clean. What happened is that when I was staying with her, she had managed to hide her pills, those ARVs. Back in those days, like when you were drinking those ARVs, they used to give you a big plastic bag that had so many of those pills, and she used to hide them. Since she didn't have an opportunity to be taking them, she then started falling sick, and when she fell sick, me and her, we then went to the hospital. When we went to the hospital, that was when the doctors started to get angry at me, and they were saying that a CD4 count was really low. Why did I allow such a thing to happen to my wife? I then got the shock of my life when they told me that she was HIV positive. From there on, that was when I get that from there on, that was when I got tested, and I was also found out to be living with HIV, and I was put on medication. All of these things, my brother, I started blaming them on that guy who had messed up my relationship, because all that I wanted to do was to get married to his sister. I then thought of a plan. All that I wanted was to hurt him, but I could not manage to get to his wife, because his wife was not that type who would end up cheating on her husband. I tried as much as I could. Whenever I would know that my friend was not at home, I would pretend as if I didn't know anything. I would pass through his house so as to check up on the wife, but the wife, she was not the cheating type. Then what I started to do, my brother, is that I would invite that friend of mine, and I would go with him so that we can go and drink beer. Each and every time that we'll be drinking beer, I'll pretend pretend as if I would be drinking with him, and when he would have gotten drunk, that is when I would just get out of that tavern where we would be at. Then I would go and check out his wife, and when I would go to his wife, the wife would ask me where her husband would be at, and I'll start to lie, and I'll say that this man, I left him with a prostitute. They were just standing outside of the beer hall, and I saw that they were having sexual intercourse. And each and every time that I would lie to my friend's wife, I would see her suffer in pain. I kept on lying to her, my brother, but the more that I lied to her, it seemed as if the more she fell in love with her husband, and I could not even understand. And I thought of plan B. There in Epworth, where I was selling a lot of these DVDs, there was this other man. He is late now. He was a traditional healer when he was still alive. That man, he loved watching a lot of Rambo movies. Each and every time that I would go there in Epworth, even if he didn't have money, I knew that he was my biggest customer. I would always leave him with brand new movies. Then he would give me the cash the next time around that I would bring more movies. So one day when I went there, I was just talking to him, and I told him that there was this other woman that I was madly in love with, and this woman, she didn't want to love me back. So what was I supposed to do? Then that man said that all that was needed was for me to bring something that belonged to that woman, even though this traditional healer didn't know that I meant my friend's wife. He said that I had to bring her underwears. I had to find a way to bring those underwears. And as he was speaking with me, I thought of how I was going to bring those underwears. I then told him that I was really shy to ask that woman that I wanted to date to give me her underwears or to steal her underwears. Then that man went into his house, and when he came out, he was holding some very small sticks, and he said that take 3 of these sticks. He gave me those sticks, and he said that 3 times I want you to go and speak with that woman that is denying you her love, and I want you to speak with her 3 times. The first day when you go to her house, do not speak with anyone along the way, but you are supposed to speak with her, only her. And after you have spoken with her, return back to your house, and once you are in your house, you need to spit out that stick and just flush it in the toilet or throw it somewhere where there is always water that is flowing. Then the next day I had to repeat that same thing that I would have done the previous day, and also on the third day. So this was a little bit of a challenge, since me and my friend, we used to go together selling these DVDs. Then once we were in town, we used to go our separate ways. So I lied to my friend, and I told him that I had met this other lady whom I had slept without having any protection, and that lady, she had given me an STI. So I was not able to come to work at that time. I was just lying to him. I then went to work alone. After I was sure that he had gone to work, I then went to his place, and I saw that his wife was outside. She was just busy sweeping, and underneath my tongue, I had that small stick that the traditional healer had given me. I then started speaking with her, but as I was speaking with her, my brother, I saw that this woman, she was now into me. The way that she was looking at me, no, she was not looking into my eyes, my brother, but she was looking at my private areas. And as she was looking at my private areas, I really felt that this was the time, but I had to be patient because I had to use these charms 3 times. The next day I did the same, and on the third day, she said that she had been waiting for a very long time, and she had seen that I didn't have the nerves to ask her out, and she was ready for me. On the third day, my brother, she invited me into her house. She just said that I have prepared some tea. Why don't you come inside? And this was the first time for her to be inviting me into her home when her husband was not present. When I followed her inside, I then saw that she was already waiting for me on the bed, since she and her husband, they were using only one room, and I joined her in bed and we made love, and I didn't even use any protection at all, which is a thing that I regretted later on. But in that moment, my brother, passion and lust, it had overtaken me. After I had finished making love to her, I then went out of her room and I went back home, I was really excited. The next trip, when I was in Epworth, I then told that traditional healer everything that had happened, and I paid him with those movies that I used to sell. So this is the thing, my brother, that I did. So many years has passed. My friend, what happened to him is that when he started falling sick, he was in denial. He didn't want to admit that he was suffering from the HIV infection. So whenever they would want to give him the medication, he would always refuse. The last time that I visited him, my brother, when he was in the hospital, what happened is that I went and I visited him, and when I saw and when I looked underneath his pillow, I then saw that there were a lot of pills that were hidden underneath there. What he was doing, this friend of mine, each and every time that the nurse would bring the tablets to him, then he would pretend as if he would have swallowed those tablets. Then after the nurse would have gone away, then he would hide them underneath the pillow. And my friend, unfortunately, he passed away. This evil thing that I did, my brother, each and every day I regret, because I know that I did such an evil thing. So many days, my brother, I cry about this story because my friend and this wife, they all passed away. My friend's wife, she was such a loving wife. She used to give me great advice. There was even one point in time when she wanted me to date a sister who was in the village, but she said that my little sister, I cannot just bring her to the city. What you need to do is that you have to raise some money so that you can send your people there to the village, and then she can officially become your wife. And that was like a long process to me. After my friend had died, my brother, I then moved out of the city, and I then returned back to the village because of the evil thing that I did, my brother. So many times when I come across someone whereby I have to show them a little bit of compassion, I find myself treating them really bad. I don't know if all the things that I did are the ones that are causing me to be a person that lacks compassion. I do not have any compassion at all.